Can everybody see that? Wonderful. All right. So if everybody could just make sure you're welcome to leave your cameras on, but that you are muted so that way we don't get any of that background noise. I do want to stress that we do want this to be interactive. So if you have questions as people are presenting, however you want to kind of flag, I'll keep an eye on the chat, people raising their hands, or you're welcome to unmute and ask questions as we go along. Definitely know that our team has their contact information on this PowerPoint as well. We'll make sure that this gets posted to our economic development website as it wraps up, so you can keep it and use it as a resource. But you're always welcome to reach out to anybody that's on this call specifically. I've got follow-up that I need more questions on sales tax, or I need more questions on my plan review. This group has made themselves available to stay in touch with you, answer any questions. So however you want to feel interactive in this, don't hesitate to do any of those as we move along. And now I want to kick it back over to Stephanie Trawler briefly, just to do a little bit of a bigger introduction, and then we will start going through our agenda with starting with the clerk's office. So Stephanie, do you want to hop back on?
Sure, thanks. We go by our last names. We have no less than 8 Stephanies working at the city, so we just often refer by our last names. We also have a lot of Johns and Dave, so please feel free to use my last name. Shelby, so today, Shelby set it up pretty nicely. We're all here to provide services from our own disciplines, and really we're here to help you. The business community is super important to the city as a whole. You drive the economy. You provide places where our residents interact. You provide sales tax, which helps pay for a lot of cool stuff like roads and water and police and fire. So it's a very symbiotic relationship that the business community has within a city. So in Westminster, I'd like to just give a quick snapshot of what our economy looks like. We have just over 3,000 businesses. It's a good split of home-based businesses and brick and mortar businesses. And there's typically 6 base industries. And I would venture to guess what your businesses most likely fit into one of these categories. And that's aerospace, financial services, hospitality, entertainment, business support, health and life sciences, and technology information. And the Economic Development Department really, our job is to help facilitate whatever a business needs, whether it's resources, whether it's training, whether it's, you need to be connected to, some sort of capital loan producer. That's really what we try to do. We also like to track what's going on in our economy. We work with a variety of different businesses to help them open and hire new jobs, again, driving that economy. Last year, we got just under 1,000 new jobs, which is about close to our annual average. Again, the more jobs we create, the stronger our economy is, and the more diverse that our industries are. Again, it protects us from ups and downs in the marketplace and helps us just, live a better life. So again, we're all here to help you navigate the city process. We like to say there's no wrong way. There's no wrong door into the city. Everybody here on staff is here to help you. And we work together on the inside as well to make sure all of your needs are being met. And if an issue does come up, we know how to help get you through the process. So again, please ask questions today. That's what we're here for. We want to know you. We want to create those relationships and those strong ties to help you be successful. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Abby and Kate with our city clerk's office. Thank you. I'll be back later.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Like I said earlier, I'm Abby with the City Clerk's Office. And if you don't know what a City Clerk's Office does, we do a lot of, we're kind of a jack of all trades. We do a lot of administrative work for the city. And what falls under our umbrella are city elections. We coordinate those with the county most often. We do run our own elections in special circumstances, but most of the time we coordinate those with the county. But more importantly to this group, we do business licensing and we do liquor licensing. We also do public records requests. We work as liaisons to boards and commissions, and we also service council meetings. But business and liquor licensing is why we're here today. Next slide. And I'm going to pass it over to Kate because she is actually our business licensing guru.
Guru, yes. In that I am the deputy city clerk that handles the business licensing side of thing, as well as what we call specialty licensing, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But our general sort of catch-all is if you are doing business at all in any capacity in the city of Westminster, you need a business license. So that includes a true brick and mortar, if you're doing retail, if it's an office space, if it's out of your home, all of that is encompassed in our business licensing. So for just a minute, for those of you that have physical locations within the city of Westminster, that is not your home. So we have for all of our licenses, we have an application that's on our online portal. And you just go in and you fill out your application. I know some of you have done that already, which is great. It comes to me first. I basically just do a check to make sure all the information looks correct. And then it goes to the sales tax division, and then planning, building, and fire. And you get those final approvals to make sure your type of business is allowed per the zoning code. You have gotten all the building permits if you're doing any sort of construction or electrical work, and have gotten those inspections. That's what the building and fire departments are looking for. And then you'll get your final license. Usually we like to say 4 to 6 weeks from the time of your application. Again, that kind of depends. Sometimes it's much quicker if you're not doing any of that sort of construction. And sometimes if there's a lot of things that need to be inspected, if there's a lot of changes, it can take longer. But it's a good range to say, give yourself at least 6 weeks before you apply. And actually, just one little quick trick that I didn't put in here, but if you have not applied for your license and you are a physical location, it's always a good practice to check with the planning department first to make sure that before you sign a lease, that your business is allowed per the code in that specific building. Most of the time it's not an issue, but it is a good thing, kind of trick of the trade, to check with the planning department first. If you are a traditional brick and mortar building, you are required to renew your license annually. Our system is going to be really great. We haven't really gone through a whole renewal cycle. It's a pretty new system, and it will email you when it's 60 days before your license expires, and you can just go ahead and quickly log on, do that renewal, and then you're set for the next year. And there are no fees for any of our business licenses. So those are all free. Next slide, Shelby. Home occupation licenses work almost exactly the same way, except that we don't need the building division to come and inspect. You register in the same portal. You get the same type of license, except that you need to fill out the supplemental registration form. And our system generally will prompt you to fill that out. And it's just, again, making sure that you're following that code that needs to that you need to have a home occupation business. These are generally a little quicker, again, because they don't need those inspections. We ask about 4 weeks for full approval for a home occupation. And again, that license does not expire. So this is different than if you have a brick and mortar. You do not have to renew your license annually. If there's a change, if there's something that needs to happen, of course, you reach out to us and we can make that happen. But you do not need to do that annual renewal. And next slide, Shelby. And then the last type, which does not apply to any of you guys necessarily, but we do have an out-of-city license type, which with the advent of all these digital sales, we have quite a few businesses that are located out of Westminster that have a city license, mostly for sales tax. And although if you're still doing a service, we do still require you to have your business license in the city. It's the same application. It's on our portal. It only requires approval from the sales tax division, again, because there's no inspections needed. They're not inside the city. And these are very quick. Usually it's under a week for approval for those. And those licenses, again, just like the home occupations, they do not expire. So you don't have to renew those annually, and there's no fee for that. Next one, Shelby. Okay, so then the big one, which we actually have a whole new other deputy city clerk who handles the liquor licensing piece of this. If you are planning to serve liquor at your business, it is a whole separate license that requires a lot of other steps. There's a lot of types of liquor licenses depending on your type of establishment. Basically, to begin the process, which again, it doesn't seem like any of you on the presentation now, this is relevant to you, but to begin the process, always reach out to the city clerk's office. There are state and city forms that you need to fill out, as well as fees for both the state and the city. So it's just a good place to start is to reach out to us. And they do expire annually, and the renewal is required, and there is a renewal fee for this liquor licensing. And the liquor licensing process is quite time consuming, both because the state is, they're getting better, but they're pretty backed up with approving licenses and renewals, but also just because there's a lot of paperwork and there's a lot of things that need to happen before you get that liquor licensing. So next slide, Shelby. And then the last type of license that we have is what we call a specialty license. And this is just for 4, soon to be 5 types of licenses. And these are considered specialty because they have a fee associated with them. One is solid waste and recycling haulers, trash haulers operating within the city. Again, they do not have to be located within the city, but if they do business in the city, they need that license. Security guard business licenses, not individual guards, but the company itself. Pet shops have a specific license. There's technically 2 types of those. And then amusement machine licenses. These also expire annually, and there is a fee required for these. It varies depending on the type of license that you get, but these all kind of have the same renewal process. It starts in the end of the year. Next slide, Shelby. Okay, so 2 really important websites listed here for you. The first one is the city business and sales tax licenses homepage. And on that page, there's a big button that says, visit the GenTax portal. And that is the portal where you manage your license, you do your renewals, you make your sales tax payments. That portal is your favorite friend. And it also gives you information on those specialty licenses. There's a frequently asked questions kind of drop down menu if you need anything answered just quickly, as well as the contact information for the city clerk's office and some external resources. And it does also link to this next page, which is liquor licensing specifically, which goes far more into depth about the types of license, the forms, the fees, all of the state forms. And then also gives information on special event permits and tasting permits, which are done kind of differently, but fall under that liquor licensing category. So if you are ever going to do a special event, then there's information that can happen there. And the next slide.
Hey, Kate, really quick, a question came over that says you mentioned another specialty license that'll be coming soon. Can you please explain what that one is?
Your memory is so good. It's so much better than mine. Yes. The last type of specialty license is going to be a food truck license. We're in the process of developing that approval process. And I should also say that the specialty licenses and the liquor licenses are not controlled in our portal. So they are just, the approval processes are different. The requirements are different. The way we get those applications is different. So if you are starting a food truck, give us a call because there's some other things we need from you. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. And then this is our contact information. That general city clerk email at the top comes to everyone in our office. So whoever is the most knowledgeable about that particular topic will get back to you. And then below that is a licensing specific email. So if you know it's something to do with liquor specialty or business licensing, go ahead and use that licensing email. Our direct line is listed below that, again, comes to our whole office. So if you're not really sure who you're needing to talk to, you can call that general number and we will help you out. I think that's all we have.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass it over to Dave Gurman, the Planning Department.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Gurman, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm the Development Services Coordinator for the Community Development Department, and I'm going to be sharing with you an overview of what the Planning Division does here in the city. Next slide, please. We manage a broad spectrum of functions that includes current and long-range planning and urban design. Current planning includes things like processing new development and redevelopment applications. Long-range planning includes efforts such as programming communities and neighborhoods to revitalize them while preserving their culture and heritage. And it also includes things like updating our sign code and our comprehensive plan. Urban design focuses on the form and function of spaces, including architecture, site design, and intermodal connectivity. Next slide, please. Here's a list showing many of the activities that the Planning Division manages. It is important to note that we do not operate in a vacuum. Instead, we partner with the Engineering Division, the Building Division, our Public Works and Utilities Department, our Parks, Recreation and Libraries Department, our Fire Department, and other entities both within and external to the city. Next slide, please. As mentioned previously, the Planning Division is a big part of new development in the city. One of the big pieces that we manage is the entitlement process, which often starts with a preliminary development plan, or PDP. Think of the PDP as the primary zoning document for the area that it covers, as it establishes allowed land uses and similar overarching characteristics for the development. Next slide, please. An official development plan, or ODP, serves as the site plan for a specific area. It's usually targeting individual parcels or lots within the development. Together, PDPs and ODPs provide the legal framework for the development and future maintenance of a site. New land uses may not be introduced without first amending the PDP, and physical changes to a building or site, even minor ones like a new door or painting scheme, may not be made without first amending the ODP. This is because these are officially the zoning documents for the site. To make changes without amending these documents is actually tantamount to a zoning violation, so want to try to avoid that. Next slide, please. This slide shows the most common interactions of the Planning Division with new and existing businesses within the city. Of interest, every business license in the city must be approved by the Planning Division. This is a good time to reiterate the tip that Kate Behan shared with us earlier. Be sure to check with the Planning Division that your intended business is allowed at your intended location before signing a lease. Next slide, please. The Planning Division and Community Development Department offer many online resources to help businesses and development communities, navigate city regulations and requirements. One example of this are the many maps we make available. You can use maps to find out information about a site, such as zoning or comprehensive plan designation. Next slide, please. Another example is the Develop in Westminster webpage. This is a portal which provides access to the resources you might need to develop a new property, redevelop a property, amend an ODP, or complete other common tasks that you might do with the Planning Division. Next slide, please. Be sure to use our website to stay on top of plan and code updates. The most recent big change is the adoption of the city's new comprehensive plan, which occurred on March 27th of this year. The comprehensive plan is the city's primary blueprint for development, and we are here to help answer any questions that might arise with the plan's newest iteration. Next slide, please. Here is a roster of the current staff of our Planning Division. Feel free to reach out to any of us for assistance. I want to thank you all for making the time to attend today, and I look forward to interacting with and supporting all of you. And thank you.
Hi, good morning again, everyone. My name is Jessica Harbonitis. I am the Senior Plans Examiner. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the building code. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because nobody wants to be bored to death with the building code. Next slide, please. So the purpose of our building code is health and life safety. We are here to ensure minimum building safety requirements are met. Some of these requirements have to do with proper exiting, minimum ventilation for your business. If you have a fire alarm or a sprinkler system, any type of modifications that need to be done to that. Also, minimum lighting and emergency lighting, and these are just to name a few. Currently, we are on the International Code Council I-codes from the 2015 series. Within the next year, we are going to be upgrading to the 2021 codes. Some of these codes are the building code, fire code, national electric code, mechanical code, plumbing code, fuel gas code, accessibility, and energy. And that's getting to be a big one. Next slide, please. All right, so what types of things need a building permit? Well, new or relocated walls, brand new rooms. If you are extending or modifying any type of electrical wiring, plumbing, some of your HVAC, that would need to undergo a plan review. Also, and this is a tough one, and we want to stress that we want to talk to you. Reach out to us first. Reach out to us before you sign that lease. Reach out to us before you make the decision. Change of occupancy. This is not something that's super easy for your average person to figure out. So reach out to us. Call us. We'd love to help you out. Change of occupancy comes when the previous tenant space might have been a State Farm office and you're going to put in a restaurant. The building code is really driven by the number of people and the hazards that are going to be in a particular space. So when you're changing from, like, let's say a State Farm office and you're going to be putting a whole bunch of people in a restaurant that might be drinking alcohol, there's going to be different code requirements. We want you to reach out to us. I don't know if I can stress that enough. And we want you to reach out to us ahead of time because, and this has happened and it absolutely breaks our heart, someone wants to move into a space, and because of their occupant load, it's going to trigger a fire alarm and or fire sprinkler. If the building is not already equipped, it is an incredibly costly thing to install. So we want to talk to you first, make sure you're choosing the right space for your business. The building department will be able to tell you if that space is going to be suitable for your business. And then, of course, planning would get a review and they'll let you know if it's an allowed use. So what types of things don't need a permit? Interior painting. We don't care. Putting up some wallpaper, replacing some flooring, like for like fixture replacements. And what we mean by like for like fixture replacements is there's a crummy old toilet in the existing bathroom. You want to upgrade it and just put a new toilet in. No problem. The only thing we would caution you about is if it's an accessible toilet, make sure you put in an accessible toilet. Countertops, swapping out a light fixture, swapping out like a kitchen faucet, those types of things, like for like, do not need a permit. Other types of things is movable casework, right? You're going to put up some cabinets. You've got some display tables, things of that nature don't require a permit. Also, within the last few years, we decided to not require a permit for like window replacement. The energy code really governs the efficiency of windows. As of right now, because all these window manufacturers have gotten on board with the new energy code, it is next to impossible to find a window that does not comply. So like for like window replacements do not need a permit at this time. Next slide, please. So when you need to apply for a permit, again, you can call us. We'd be happy to walk you through the process. You're going to apply for the permit through our online permit portal. You don't even have to come in to the city. You can do it right at home from your pajamas. You're going to need to create a user login, of course, and you're going to fill out a permit application online and submit plans. Those plans, once they're checked in, we're going to route them to all of our departments that need to take a look at them. So it'll be planning, building, engineering, if it's a brand new building from the ground up. Fire department will take a look at them. Drew Beckwith in water, he'll take a look at it. Sanitary would take a look at it. Sanitary is a big one for, like pet shops and stuff. Once the permit is issued, again, you can pay for that online. You can schedule all of your inspections online. You're going to go through the construction and inspection process. And once that is completed, you'd be approved for occupancy. Next slide, please. So to touch on this again, the tenant finishes, we are going to route them to all the departments that are going to need to take a look at them associated with the building. So again, planning is going to take a look at the zoning. Building department is going to look at the building code compliance. Fire department would be looking at things such as smoke alarm, or I'm sorry, fire alarms, fire sprinklers, hood suppression. If you're opening a restaurant, you're going to have, any type of griddle or a wok or something like that. Now, health department is actually a separate process that is not included in the city review. Recently, Tri-County Health split off into the separate counties, right? So right now we're dealing with Jefferson and Adams County. So that would be a separate process, but we can certainly point you in the right direction. And then also business license approval does come in the permit process. Again, one last time, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but please, 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 we want to help you. We want to make sure your business is successful. Please reach out to us before you sign that lease, before you hire a contractor to start poking holes in walls. We want to talk to you first, and we'd be happy to help you with anything. If you have an architect, have them call us first. We'd be happy to give them any information we can on the existing property and share any information we're legally allowed to share about it, so that you can get your plans done and get pointed in the right direction as soon as possible. Next slide. Okay, here's some of our contact information. We've got Dave Horace, who is the chief building official, Lynn Tennant, who is our permit supervisor. Myself, I'm the senior plans examiner. I can help you out with specific code questions. And then Mike Jones is our building inspection supervisor. We would love to hear from you. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to turn it over to Drew Beckwith in our water department.
Hey. Thanks, Jessica. I'm going to reiterate a lot of what Jessica said about please, please, please check in with us first. So Shelby, go ahead just to the next slide. Our Public Works and Utilities Department covers water and sewer within the city of Westminster. And actually we have some interesting county enclaves sort of on the western side of our town. We also provide water and sewer service to them as well. Our Public Works and Utilities Department also does the roads and the streets as well. So I get involved when a building, a tenant finish, usually in this case, changes something with their plumbing system. They add a toilet. You want to, because of plumbing code, have to add a drinking fountain or a 3-compartment sink if you're moving to a restaurant. And my review process is to ensure that all of the fixtures in the building can fit within the existing tap. And Westminster moved to a sort of fairly unique process about 15 years ago to make sure that tap fees were based upon the users in the building. That was unique, as they said, about 15 years ago. We have had a lot more communities move towards this because it is more fair and equitable. Just as a basic sense, we all know that a restaurant uses a lot more water than a State Farm, right, place. And so it doesn't make sense to charge a tap fee for those at the same rate, right? If we know something is going to use more water, we should charge more money for that. So that's sort of like the underpinnings of why I do a review, is to make sure that, the existing uses are compatible with the new uses are compatible with the old setup. And so, as Jessica also said, we have come into places where, someone signs a lease for a restaurant and then finds out that this is a several $100,000 project to purchase more water from the city, to upsize the tap so it can serve the new business. And it's just a bummer of a spot to be in. So please check with me first. We do have various regulations for fat, oil, grease, and grit, especially for food service. That's what FOG is. I addressed this idea about if your new business is going to be using water, a restaurant, a laundromat, a brewery, things like that, there are very likely going to be tap fees because the business that you're replacing had less water use, and we're going to charge you for that delta increase. I firmly believe that this is not a cost. These changes of tap fees, these changes of use, I do not believe that is a cost that should be borne by the tenant, by the business who's moving in. So the folks on this call. You do not get to take, quote unquote, that water with you if you ever move to a different location in the city. You don't get to take that size of pipe with you if you move to a different city. This is an asset that is tied to the building itself. And so I believe, and I often counsel the building owner and the tenant, that if we're in this kind of situation, this is really something that the building ownership should be paying for. I don't get involved in those negotiations. Sometimes like the new tenant is kicking in a little bit of money to the building owner, but it is just sort of something to be aware of. Should you find yourself in this position, there's usually some negotiation that happens between building ownership and the new tenant. Shelby, let's go to the next slide. I think it's just my last one. Yeah, so hey, if you have any questions about your water use, if this is something that applies to you, please do give me a call first. Here's my contact information. And if you have any questions about street related things, sidewalks, et cetera, that are in front of your business that may be causing issues, here's our streets number as well. I think that's it for me. Scott.
Sorry, my mouse. Thank you, Drew. Thank you all for being here. My name is Scott Jacobs. I'm one of the sales tax auditors at the city. There are 4 of us in sales tax auditing. We have a revenue agent, and then we have an accountant tech, and we deal with all the sales and use tax that comes into the city, which makes up about 70% of our budget. So it's very important. Shelby, could I get the next slide? So I'll just give you a basic overview of what's required for sales and use tax for all businesses in the city, since all of you are here. Some out of city businesses also have requirements, but for in the city, when you sign up for your or apply for your business license, that will also become your sales tax license number. You don't need a separate one. And the application should ask you what type of filing frequency you think you should have. It sounds like everyone on this call is really more of a service industry business, so you probably won't be collecting sales tax from your customers. Services are not taxable. Only tangible items are within the city of Westminster. And I'm only covering what's in the city, not state rules. They're different. Since we're a home rule city, we collect our own sales tax, which is 3.85%, and the rest of what you collect, if you're collecting sales tax, goes to the state. But if you think you're collecting sales tax and will remit more than $500 per year, you should be a monthly filer. Between $150 and $500, you're quarterly. And if you're not collecting any sales tax or very little, under $150, then you should be annual. So all service businesses, you should just be annual filers. You are required to file once a year. It would be in January, and there's a reason for that, which I will explain on the next slide. And here I have, you've already heard from the clerk's office, sorry, Shelby, that we have a new system, our GenTax system, and it's a much more user-friendly system in terms of remitting sales tax and use tax. Okay, thank you, Shelby. Next slide. So, sales tax and use tax are the same thing, really, 2 different sides of the same coin. If you sell a tangible item, you should be collecting sales tax from your customer, and then you remit the sales tax to us. We're all used to paying this when we go and buy items in the city. The side that most business owners don't know about is use tax, and so I'll focus more on that. If you buy something for your business, like a new desk, a new washing machine, a chair, anything you need to do business, you owe city use tax on that. If you go to the store here in Westminster, like Office Depot, they're going to charge you that sales tax. Just keep your receipt in case you're audited, and you're good. You know you've paid the sales tax. But if something is shipped to you, especially machinery, for example, often the vendor won't charge you local sales tax or any sales tax. So you want to watch those receipts and see, oh, I didn't pay sales tax on this machine, so now I owe it same amount, but as a use tax, and you'll remit that directly to the city on your sales and use tax return. So for service businesses that are only filing once a year, that's what you're really going to focus on, because you will have no sales tax to remit from customers, but you may have use tax. You may not, but you might. And you'll want to pay attention to this, because if we ever audit you, and you do owe money, interest is accruing. So for any late tax, interest accrues at 1% per month, which is fine if it's 1 or 2 months. It's not always so bad, but 36 months or more hurts. So, and usually we do audits after 3 years of you being in business if we audit you. So just watch that. And then there's also penalty of 10%. So that's why if you have any questions about use tax or if you paid, then please call us and ask us. Sorry, I saw a question pop up, but it disappeared. Let's see.
That's okay, Scott. I got it for you.
Oh, thank you.
They want to know what happens if you pay a use tax for a different city, not Westminster.
That's a good question. So if you buy, let's say you go to Arvada and buy something at a store there, and they've charged you Arvada sales tax, which is a little bit less than our sales tax, you owe the difference in use tax. So I can't remember Arvada's. I think there's a 0.35% difference. So on your the tax return, sales tax return for Westminster that's due after that purchase, so it could be the next month, the next quarter, or at the end of the year, you would remit the difference on that return. And if you're unsure about how to calculate that when you do that return, just let us know and we can help you. But you're just remitting the difference in what you paid. If you go to Denver, for example, you'll pay more. So we give you credit for that and you won't owe anything. Just keep the receipts or the invoices, because an auditor will look at that if we ever engage you in an audit. I hope that answered that question. So those are the main 2 things you need to look at. If you're collecting sales tax from your customers, that you remit it, and then for your business, use tax if you owe it. Shelby, the next slide, please. And just to continue a little further on use tax, there is a form that should be in GenTax. We also have it in paper form. It's called an initial use tax return. You only fill this out once. It's due the month after you open. And again, it's just looking for any use tax that might be owed from the setup of your business. So we only look back 6 months. So 6 months prior to opening, if you've been buying items and storing them, you can look at those receipts or invoices. And if you see that you didn't pay the full sales tax or any sales tax, you can remit that to us on your initial use tax return. And then after that, you'll remit use tax as you go and file. So that's something I just wanted to cover quickly, is the initial use tax return. If you don't see it in the system when you first log in, after your license is approved, please call us and we can make sure you either get the paper form or we'll turn that on in the system if we have to. If you have any questions that are very specific to your business about any kind of item that may be taxable or not taxable, software is always a big one, please call us. There are 8 of us that can help you. I have contact information on the next slide for the sales tax department. There's my direct information. And actually the first number is our general line, then my information. The link to GenTax, where you would sign in to remit tax and deal with your licensing issues, as the clerk's office mentioned, and then our main website, which takes you straight to the tax page. So any questions, feel free to call me if you don't want to ask them on the call today. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Hi again. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everybody. Before I kind of transition into some of the resources that are available to you for a business, I want to highlight some takeaways for you. One, the whole business about signing a lease without checking or doing your due diligence is a real problem, and it breaks every one of our hearts when we have to tell a business, sorry, you just there's nothing we can do. So please do check in with us. I will say again, there is no wrong way into the city. All the professionals here today are here to assist you. They want you to succeed. And they work hard to find creative solutions for your unique situation, but not at the cost of health and safety. So, there's a lot of moving pieces. We understand that, and that's what we're here for, is really, again, we're gonna get you where you need to go, but there is a process involved. So if you ever get stalled on anything, reach out to any of us. We're going to do our best to help you. And again, spread the word about signing a lease before doing some due diligence. It really is a tragic mishap, and it really does hurt our feelings, I guess. I don't know. It's just hard to deal with. And that's why we have folks like Stephanie Audie and Shelby trying to make relationships with property owners so we can get in front of that. But it is a continued issue that we just can't seem to solve. So with that, I'm going to transition us to resources. Shelby, can we have the next slide, please? So the Economic Development Department, our mission is to create and foster an economic resilient economy, right? And that is by supporting our businesses. It's by implementing strategic plans, focusing on prosperity and sustainability, and again, making sure that it's inclusive. Our public policy is inclusive. Fun fact, we were named the best largest city by the Economic Development Council. Our job as economic developers is to present the city in the best light to make sure you guys have what you need again. All right, next slide. So again, just a few more statistics about our economy and what our business community looks like as a whole. In 2020, we obviously can't provide 2023 data yet. Just under 1,000 new jobs, 13 new primary business recruitment and expansions. And let me just kind of explain the use of the term primary. The general philosophy is if a primary business is any business that exports a good or service, therefore bringing new money into a community, grows the wealth. And then we have what we call secondary, which is usually most of you guys here, we keep that wealth here. We don't want people going to the vet in Arvada. We don't want people doing their laundry in Wheat Ridge. We want to keep all of those goods and services here and supporting our network. So that's how the economy, at a very, layman's term, really works. And then we work again to support you guys. We want to keep you here. We want to keep you happy. We want to keep you guys hiring folks. We want to keep you guys generating that sales tax that Scott and everybody likes so much. And we do that by providing services. Last year, we provided 11 business trainings. We partner with we have several partners, but we partner with the Small Business Development Center, the SBDC, to provide trainings on QuickBooks and marketing and very general business type trainings, but we also provide trainings like this that are very city specific. We feel the more that you know, the stronger competitive edge you have, and therefore, again, contributing to that overall economy. We also provide grants, and I'm going to get into these a little bit. Last year, we usually average about 62,000 in capital grant improvements, and I'll get into that in a little bit more. We provide scholarships. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's going on in your world, and if we need to, if there's a reoccurring problem, we want to help. So we ask you through a survey, and then we go out and do what we call biz walks, our business walks. Excuse me. And it's really just informal drop-ins. seeing how you are. Sometimes we'll have the mayor with us. Sometimes we'll have, our public works friends with us. Sometimes we'll have the police department with us. And really, we're just looking for those connections and really trying to understand what's going on. Sometimes there's some reoccurring themes. Crime is on the rise, whatever. And we want to make sure you know how to connect to the city. So again, it's that symbiotic relationship. So that's how we do it. Next slide, please. So here's a little bit about our grant resources. We have several, and please check in with Shelby, Stephanie, or the Stephanie, Trawler, Audie, or Shelby about them. These are also on the economic development webpage. First up is probably our most popular, and especially for those of you who are getting ready to open your business this year. This is one that you may want to pay attention to, is the capital improvement grant. So if you are making any sort of capital improvements in your business, FF&E, new walls, new big equipment, the city will provide, if you are eligible, provide up to $5,000. It's capped at 10% or $5,000 and it's all on a reimbursement basis for any equipment you may need. Again, anything that has a shelf life of 3 years or more. It is just a way for us to thank you for being brave and going through the rigorous processes that sometimes in addition to opening a business that sometimes businesses feel. If you are in historic Westminster, we also have a facelift grant that's more for exterior improvements to signage, facades. If you need to do some landscaping, if you need to repave a parking lot, kind of exterior. Again, that will pay 50% up to $5,000 for any sort of improvements you make. Again, we see it as an investment in you, and we want you to succeed in any way we can help. We will do that. Let me circle back. I forgot to mention one thing on the capital improvement grant. That grant is time sensitive. That one, the applications are due July 1st, generally speaking, or the first business day there around. And we will let you, but you can ask for a reimbursement for anything in the calendar year. So if you have an expense now, you could still apply. We will not award grants until July-ish. And then you could project your your expenses going on the second half of the year as well. Because it's such a popular, we needed a point in time to really evaluate, all of the different grants, because it's as funding allows. So there's usually more asks than funds, but we do our very, very best to find funds for all of our businesses. The facelift grant, you can apply year round. Again, 50% up to $5,000. Small business scholarships. These are once a year. So we will reimburse you for any kind of continuing education you and your staff might have. Again, helping you guys develop the skills you need to maintain that competitive edge. We're going to help you with that by providing you scholarships. Again, it's always on a reimbursement basis. So, and those are open year round. We also, because sustainability is important to the city, we also have a SAGE sustainability grant. It goes up to, I think, $1,000, and it'll help pay for if you're making an upgrade to any sort of equipment that is more energy efficient, or if you're going to switch out to LED light bulbs, those types of things. Again, all in the reimbursement kind of category, and those are available year round. And this program is ran by the Sustainability Office. And last but certainly not least is our job training incentive grant. We want to keep our folks employed, and we know that usually, especially in a tight workforce environment that we've been experiencing throughout Metro and Colorado, that it's hard to find the right fit for your business, your right employees, and also realize that the risk is, in training folks and getting them up to speed, and then they'll go somewhere else for $1 more an hour or whatever. So what this grant will do is also reimburse $5,000 for OJT, on the job training, or classroom training for per business per year. If you are hiring somebody from a local institution, a local high school, a local community college, Front Range, or something, a Bowman Tech or something like that, we'll give you an additional, we'll go up to 6,175. We'll give you some extra money if you're hiring for local. It's a good program. It's really, we piloted it last year, and it's really starting to pick up steam too. Again, we want you to hire local. We want to support our residents and really create those lasting relationships. All of these grants are available again on the Economic Development website. You can call Shelby, Stephanie, Audie, or me to walk you through any of them if you have any questions. This is a nice way, especially if you're just starting up and you have all those kind of upfront costs, to offset some of those costs. And again, don't spin your wheels trying to figure these out. We really design them to be as easy and accessible as possible. So please, please, please utilize them. That's what they're there for. They're there to help support you. Okay, next slide. So in addition to the financial resources, we also like to provide what we call technical assistance. And again, that's those business trainings like this. What are the programs and resources available through the city of Westminster? Again, there's some kind of cross-arching topics that our businesses face. Homelessness. What do you need to know about property rights, for example? How do you navigate the system? So we are always open to suggestions. If you need a specific topic covered, let us know. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we do have specific trainings that we partner with, marketing, accounting, those sorts of things, and we partner with our experts as well. Next slide, please. So that's not all we do. Usually we do that reoccurring theme of like, don't sign a lease until you check with us. We can help with site selection. We have a real estate database that really does help tell us where you could go, and we will help do that due diligence to make sure it's zoned properly, the occupancy is right. We can help you with that as well. We provide technical assistance on a variety of different topics, whether it's access to capital, whether it is, again, knowing your property rights, whatever it is. We really like to be your partner and help figuring things out. We want you to focus on what your business does. That's your expertise. That is your passion. And we want you to go forth and be successful. And we don't want you getting sidetracked or having to spin your wheels on topics. We may or may not have all the answers, but if we don't know, we know we could get you to a shorter yes or no, and that's our objective as well. We also have a ton of information about workforce connections. Again, it's been a really tight labor market, so finding the right fit for you and the right skill set has been an issue. So we have a whole list of workforce resources to help you connect with the right resource, whether you want to hire veterans or minorities or women-owned or specific technical trades. We can help put you in that right trajectory to get you on your path. We also like to let you know what's going on in the world, in the state legislature, what new legislation may be coming out that may impact businesses. We do a lot of advocacy around that, and we try to distill that down into bite-sized pieces so you don't have to do that legwork. And we send those out through emails and business walks. If there's a topic coming up, we do our best to make sure that that's communicated out to you so you can plan accordingly. And again, sustainability, it's a big topic. That's sustainability as we define it is the triple bottom line economy, equity, and education. Environment. So we really do think it's important for our businesses to know what resources are available, what we're doing to help. And you can find all this information on our website as well. It's got more than you want to know, I promise. Don't get lost. And there's our website should you need anything at all. Shelby, next slide. Again, we partner with the Small Business Development Center, the SBDC. They're a great resource, especially as you're starting out. They also offer a ton of resources on how to get started. Do you need to do an LLC, or what type of entity do you need to form? They are a great resource if you haven't reached out to them yet. They're worthy of a quick Google search. We have a local center in Westminster, and great resources. So we want you to have those, and they're certainly accessible to you. We often provide scholarships to some of their for-fee trainings. So if you do see one that you're interested in and you're like, oh, I don't know, use our scholarship program. Reach out to us. We also underwrite certain scholarships for some of the trainings as well, specifically for our Westminster businesses, and we want to provide those resources to you. The Chamber of Commerce is another wonderful resource, especially if you're going to do some business to business networking. They're really helpful in connecting you within the business world. The government is not so good at networking sometimes, especially when it's business to business. We like to step back and let you guys facilitate that process kind of organically. We provide newsletters, e-blasts, whatever you need. We really do want to give it to you. I think I've beat that horse, so if we can go to the next slide. And again, we have a great team. Shelby, who's online, Chris Gray, who heads up some of those primary job and businesses, and Stephanie Audie and myself. We're here to help you, and we want you to succeed. So I think that is it, and we are all open to questions. Should you have any questions at all? Again, I can't reiterate enough that this group right here is dedicated to your success. We want you to succeed, and we're going to work with you to find your path forward, but not at the expense of health and safety. I'm going to turn it back to Shelby.
Thanks, Stephanie. I recognize that we are about 10 minutes over the time that we promised to be done with everybody. So for the sake of wanting to be respectful of that, if you do have questions, you are welcome to drop them in. It looks like a couple are coming over. So if you do need to hop off, please know that we understand. I will make sure that everybody gets a copy of this PowerPoint again, so that you have that contact information if you need to circle back with any of us on anything. Real quick, it looks like Cash wants to know, are there any restrictions in Westminster to charging credit card processing fees?
Not that, this is Scott with sales, not that I've heard of. I've never heard of that restriction. I don't know that anyone else would have.
Yeah, Cash, that's probably through the credit card service that you have, the little, ATM machines that we all use, or through your bank. Those are, if there are any fees, that's probably where they're going to be coming from. So that would be a good question to follow up with your specific services.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And just to add to that, my credit card processing company and my point of sale systems have the ability to charge a percentage fee back to the customer when they use a credit card, but they've got a big disclaimer on that to check local regulations, because I guess in some areas you're not allowed to charge those credit card processing fees back to the customer as part of the transaction. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Cash. Great question. Anybody else have anything before we break? Last call. Again, you're always welcome to reach out to us. I know we have said that a bajillion times, but we truly are a resource here. We want you to feel comfortable working with us. That is our job. We want you to feel supported. This was a ton of information, but it's more so just so that you know that these are the required pieces, but definitely lean on us and let us be your experts and help you navigate going through those steps and being established here in the city. We're so happy you're here. I am going to call it quits on us here. So thank you everybody for again switching gears, joining us virtually. A huge thank you to all of our city partners for your time today and for our businesses jumping on to engage with us. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.